Have you ever had a financial wake-up call? I remember early in my career when I was a financial advisor, I wanted to be as financially successful as possible. So I asked a lady who was very financially successful, a millionaire actually, successful real estate investor, to be my mentor. And I remember when we sat down for our first session, she asked me, number one, how much money have you made over the course of your career? We ended up estimating it, and it was about $600,000 at that point in time, $600,000 that I had made early in my career through jobs that I had had. And then she asked me, how much do you have to show for it? And there was a long, awkward silence. And I realized that the amount I had to show for it was $2,000 in my savings account and about $1,000 in my checking. So over making $600,000, I had kept only $3,000. Then she told me, if you want to be the best at what you do, then you have to be financially successful yourself. Because nobody who's financially successful is going to want to work with someone or seek advice from someone who's not financially successful. That was a turning point, not only in my career, but for my finances. That's when I started saying, I'm going to start building good habits, starting with saving and investing the first 10% that I make, generously tithing and giving away the next 10%. Sometimes it takes a wake-up call like that to get us to change the way that we're behaving when it comes to money or other habits that we have. Sometimes it takes just having someone wake you up and open your eyes and say, hey, even though I'm a financial planner, I'm living paycheck to paycheck myself and I don't have a lot of money to show for it myself. So maybe I should take care of my own finances before worrying about taking care of other people's. But sometimes it can be other things that spark these changes. One thing is a change in the year. I know every year I like to reflect on how I did in the past year. And today I'm going to give you 6 tips that I believe will help you have a prosperous 2023 based on the work I've done in financial planning and based on where we are right now in the current economic climate. Number 1, in the year 2022, we had record inflation. Now, a lot of metrics are starting to show that record inflation might actually turn into record or bad unemployment. But what you can do because of that inflation is you can take advantage of higher limits on retirement and tax savings accounts. For instance, if you want to put your money in a tax-free bucket called a Roth IRA, in the year 2022, you can only do $6,000 per year. But this year, because of inflation, you could do $6,500 and even $7,500 if you're over age 50. The same is true for your 401k. The amount that you can put in to get a tax deduction to save for future retirement has increased as well by about $1,000 or $2,000. So the year 2023 is a good time to look at your retirement savings and see if you're taking advantage of all the tax favored accounts that you possibly can. Another thing you can do, since it's the first quarter of the year, the first part of the year, is you can look back to the previous year and see if there's any accounts that you didn't max out that you would like to max out. If you need a tax deduction, you can look at your SEP IRA, Simple IRA, 401k, and put as much money as you can to max it out. And that will be a tax deduction that you can use for the year 2022. And also, it'll be long-term savings for your future. Here's another tip that could be really, really beneficial to you that a lot of people don't think about. It's to look at every single account that you have that will pass outside of your estate. These are accounts that have beneficiaries, which designates someone to send the money to if you were to pass away, to make sure that your beneficiaries are set up exactly as you would like them to be set up. So let's say you had your cousin as a beneficiary, but he started acting kind of shady, he's kind of offended you at the Thanksgiving dinner. Take him off and put someone that you like on there. In all seriousness, you want to make sure it's up to date and that the accounts will pass in the direction you want them to pass, that the percentages are exactly as you'd like them to be. I know there can be lifestyle changes. Say you got married. I recently got married. So what I've been doing is I'm looking at all my accounts and I'm putting my wife on there, where before I had my mother on there. So you want to make sure that you update that so that every account passes as you would like it to pass. Very easy thing to do. It's free. You can do it most times online. I did it on my Fidelity account. I just logged in, went to profile, hit beneficiary, and just updated the information. Number 3 has to do with estate planning. It's something that nobody wants to think about, but let me tell you something. We're all gonna die. Anyway, the thing you want to do is you want to have your wills or trusts in place. What those do is they make sure that your wishes are carried out after you pass away or when you're unable to speak for yourself. So when you have a will, it's saying, this is how I want my money to pass. This is important because I've seen it many times in many different families where they start fighting. This is what mom would have wanted. This is what dad would have done. And it's hard to know because there was no will in place. So you want to make sure you have your will done. After that, you want to make sure you have your healthcare directives. That's someone that you trust to make medical decisions for you in the case that you're incapacitated. And also you can think about how you'd want to be taken care of. Things like do not resuscitate, do you want that or not? These are tough decisions, but things that it's best to think about while you have a clear mind and can think about them. Another thing you can do is set up a durable power of attorney. That's someone who you trust to handle your finances if you can't handle them for yourself. If you've already done this, another thing you could do at the beginning of the year is to update it and make sure it's completely up to date, just like you did with the beneficiary. Usually a will costs about maybe $1,000, $1,500, and a trust in Texas where we are costs about $3,000. Important part of estate planning is a letter of instruction. Something saying is how you'd like to be buried or if you'd like to be cremated. Things like that can be very simple to make sure that things are taken care of. That's kind of the old school way, but a new school way is also to think about your passwords and how those will be passed, and social media as well, having a backup plan for that as well. Something that people don't think about, but I think more and more as people are living online and using social media, it's something important to think about. If you're someone who's a high income earner who's looking to save on your taxes, you can also think about your charitable giving and plan that out for the year 2023. That's number 5. You want to think about how much you like to give to charity, research those charities, and it can be a very good tax benefit as well. Of course, you want to give to things that are aligned with your heart. You want to research them. There's a website called Charity Navigator where you can look at the credibility of the charities that you're giving to. And everything that you give that's a cash donation, you can deduct actually 60% of all the income that you're earning. So this is great if you have a high income year, you did well, and if you also want to help other people, bless other people. I've often found too that when you give, it comes right back to you. So that's a huge part of planning. If it's someone who's more generous, is charitable giving. You can also give to your local church as well. That's something that's very important. And something I'm a huge believer in is at least tithing the first 10%. I think that you'll find that it comes right back to you. Money likes to move, and it likes to move in the direction of causes that are important to people. And I found that since I started tithing, my finances have taken off like crazy, and it hasn't been good years. They've been 2020, 2021, 2022. So economically, they weren't good years, but I think when you give, when you're generous, it comes right back to you. Finally, make sure you stick around to the end because this one is the best tip I could possibly come up with. Save the best for last. But not least, we have our 6th tip when it comes to doing better, having a prosperous 2023. One thing you can do, and I think the most important thing you can do, more important than all of these, even though they're all very, very important, is to invest in your financial education. There is nothing better that you can do than to fill your head with ways of making money and becoming resourceful, whether it's, selling stuff online, starting your online business, finding ways of building passive income. It can be huge. And the reason it can be huge is before I started focusing on my finances and the shift, I remember a time when I was struggling and I was riding for Uber, right when Uber had first started. And I had my car and I was driving, and I remember I heard that noise pop and one of my tires had busted. I took it to the tire shop and they told me it was going to cost a good amount of money to fix, and I didn't really have any extra savings or anything. And the reason I say this is because I always think back to that when I think about the importance of investing in financial education. Nowadays, I've started investing in vending machines, in businesses, even in Web3, investing in stocks, dividend stocks that pay income. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm building up this passive income that can be a cushion for any given month. And I think that's so important. Even just like early on, I remember I used to go on eBay and I would go to garage sales, find collectibles, look at them on eBay, learn it from Gary Vaynerchuk, and just sell them online. One time I sold a 50-cent cup that I found, a collectible cup, for $50 to some lady that was in Europe. And she even paid for the shipping and everything else. And the reason I say that is because there's so many opportunities out there, but sometimes we limit ourselves by thinking we can only do this 1 or 2 things that are the easiest. And when you invest in your financial education, you really increase the possibilities of ways you can make money. But not only that, you make it so that your mind is open, your eyes are open to all the opportunities that are out there. With the internet, with the rise of AI right now, there's so many opportunities to make money. But if you don't invest in your financial education, they're gonna pass you by. And with that being said, I have a financial mastermind. So if you're interested in that, we're starting on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's on Zoom, and we limit that to 5 people. So if you're interested in that, just leave a comment below, let me know. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.